Welcome to Figure Out Your Life podcast, the podcast where we try to find the answers to life's everyday questions. I'm your host, Toya T, aka Toya T PhD, aka Dr. T, aka the best friend that you needed that you didn't know that you wanted. All right. So anyway, welcome back, everybody. It's another day, another month, another week. Everything's good on this end. Not much to update you guys on, except for the fact that I'm trying to build my mailing list. Sign up for my newsletter. That's the best way to keep up to date on when the podcast drops and any other things that's happening with the podcast, with me, and any other tips and life hacks that I have picked up. So you can do that on my website, which is figureoutyourlifeblog.com. Again, that's figureoutyourlifeblog.com. Information will be in the show notes, but definitely consider joining the newsletter so that you can keep up to date on when these podcasts drop. So let's get straight into this week's episode. Now, this is inspired by a quote that I posted on Instagram, which read, "Sis, your intuition said what she said. Believe her." Okay. So I put out that post both on my personal page and on the podcast Instagram page and received such great responses to it. And I didn't really plan to talk about this as a topic on the podcast. Originally, I had planned to do another podcast on finding balance while in quarantine. And then I started working on it. And all of a sudden, I kind of moved into another podcast episode idea topic. And then I started working on an episode on coping with anxiety and stress during uncertain times. And then I thought I would do an episode on refueling after being emotionally drained while in a quarantine. But something in my gut told me to do this episode first, to do an episode on intuition and listening to your gut. It feels like people need it. And seeing that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, this seems like the best time to discuss this. It seems like my own spin on discussing mental health and keeping yourself mentally well. Especially now during these uncertain times, the COVID-19 pandemic has brought so many changes to how we live our lives. And with it, uncertainty, financial pressures, and social isolation, along with real worries about getting sick, how long the pandemic will last, and what the future will bring, on top of information overload, rumors that come from, unfortunately, from the President of the United States of America, number 45, the misinformation that's going out there, it can make our lives feel out of control and make it very unclear on what to do. And that's why I think it's important to learn how to trust your intuition and to listen to your gut. By definition, intuition is a noun, and it has two meanings, at least from the dictionary that I found it from. One, it's the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. Number two is a thing that one knows or considers likely from instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning. It's similar to a hunch, a gut feeling, a funny feeling, a feeling in your bones. Interestingly, the opposite of intuition is intellect, which by definition is the faculty of reasoning and understanding objectively. But intuition does not lack reasoning and understanding. It is more subjective than objective. Objective meaning that you try to take out your own personal biases and see things from different sides, and subjective being that you're basing it off of your own experiences. And that is what intuition is. Intuition is reasoning and understanding, but subjectively. And I think that is a good thing because your intuition or your gut feeling is your internal compass and your everyday survival coach. It is what tells you not to go down that dark alley, not to trust that opportunity that sounds too good to be true. As little kids, we listen to our guts, but many of us have forgotten how to trust our gut. We have gotten so used to trusting our brains and the things that we read, the things that we think are facts, instead of our bodies. We focus more on what other people are telling us is the proper thing to do. For example, the fact that people think that grind culture or grinding is better than actually taking a break and relaxing or vacationing. The fact that I think I had mentioned it before when Steve Harvey said that rich people don't take vacations. And it's like, yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's poor people who can't afford to take vacations. It's poor people and working class people that are working because of this idea of pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you work hard, you'll receive the reward. And it's like, no, that is not exactly how things go. For some people, yes. But for others who are fortunate enough to have wealth or be born into wealth, they don't have that same grind culture. I cannot sit here and say that Paris Hilton has worked harder in her life than I have. There is no way, mainly for the fact that she doesn't have to grind. She doesn't have to stress about money, about where her next meal is coming from, about paying off student loan debts and all these other things. And I think because we're told all these different things and what it is to be an adult, how it is to adult, that we start to forget what our bodies are telling us, that we decide to grind, to keep working when our bodies are tired, and then wonder why we get sick, why this didn't work out, why all of a sudden that you can't think clearly. And it's like, because you're not listening to your body anymore. And intuition is non-conscious thinking, essentially the brain on autopilot. Your brain is just doing what it needs to do to keep you safe, to help you survive. Like I said, it's your everyday survival coach. It is the one making sure that you eat, that you sleep, that you don't walk down that dark alley so you don't get attacked possibly. It's that tingling feeling when you know something bad is about to happen and it's telling you how to react. Psychologists posit that the unconscious mind dictates decision-making more than we think, that our subconscious mind nudges us with extra information. Our intuition is shaped by our past experiences. The more experienced you are in whatever you're deciding on, the more accurately your intuition can offer you the most optimal decision. Although it can be useful to seek out counsel from others, remember that they don't necessarily know what is best for you. I'm going to repeat that. Although it can be useful to seek counsel from others when making decisions, remember that they don't necessarily know what is best for you because they don't have to live your life. Take their advice into consideration, especially if they're more experienced than you are in something, but in the end, your heart knows best. And a good example I can think of is when I got my new job. So I got the contract and I saw the salary offering and I asked my mom, do you think that I should try to negotiate this? Like, it's not like it's a bad number, but everything that I have read about women and salary negotiations and how the gender wage gap, that it's usually that women don't speak up and don't try to negotiate because they feel like they can't negotiate, that they'll come off assertive and they'll lose the opportunity. And I read all these things that were talking about you really should negotiate because they want you. They want you. And the worst that can happen is that they deny your offer, but you already have the job and now it's your decision to decide whether you want to take it or not. And so my mom told me no, but for myself, I actually did go and try to, renegotiate my salary. It didn't work out, but I know that I'm the kind of person that dwells on things, on past mistakes or on steps that I wish that I had taken. And so I'm happy that I did that for myself because I made it quite clear to them, to the employers, that I know my value, that I value myself very highly. And I want to understand how you came up with this number so that I can make sure that I'm getting the best financial offer for myself and for the skills that I bring to this job and just to give myself peace of mind. And so, yes, my mother has been working way longer than I have. She makes way more money than I do. She actually hires people, and that's why I asked her. But at the end, I had to trust my own gut. So that is one example. Also, our intuition connects us with all the nerve cells in our body. The butterflies that you feel in your tummy, sometimes referred to as your gut feeling before an important decision, are a result of feeling the millions of nerve cells in there. The subconscious part of the brain sends signals to the nerves in the tummy to feel that way. What better way to make a decision than to listen to your full being and not only your mind? So That's why you have like that strange feeling. You feel nervous before you make a big decision because your body's telling you have to breathe, you have to sit, you have to slow down and think about what you're going to do so that it turns out the best for you. So I say all this because many of us have to teach or reteach ourselves how to listen and respond to our gut. And because of this, I am going to give you 10 ways to practice listening to your gut. So 1, pay attention to the way your body reacts in different situations. Get a journal and write in it. Or use your phone and record your thoughts. Think about the tasks, the interactions, or people that make you feel uplifted and confident, and then think about the ones that make you feel bad. And notice your emotions and your body reactions. Number 2 is, as you go through your day, notice the signals that your gut tries to send you. Maybe you're wondering whether or not to stop at the grocery store on the way home from work. Don't spend too much time thinking about that answer. Stop controlling it. Ask your body, should I stop or should I go straight home? You have to pay attention to those signals. Don't spend too much time thinking about what you should do. Listen to what your body is telling you. 3, spend as much time as possible with people who reinforce you and as little time as possible with people who bring you down. That is just a no-brainer. If you're around people and they make you feel good, spend more time with them. If you're around people and they make you want to claw your eyes out or claw their eyes out, stop hanging out with dumb people. Number 4, daydream about your life and your career. What would you like to see happen in your life and in your work? Don't censor the ideas that come to you. The more you tell your body, go ahead and steer me where I need to go, the louder its guidance will become. Number 5, at night, think back over your day. Think about the positive reactions and fear reactions you had during the day. Reenact the event in your head and ask, what was my body trying to tell me? Think about, when did your blood pressure go up? When did you feel fearful? When did you feel happy or giddy? And this will give you an idea about what you need to do and what you need not to do next. Number 6, think about your life so far and identify distinct moments when you listened to your gut and made the right decision. It might have been a safety issue or a decision to get out of a bad relationship or a job. And this is a funny one. I always go back to this one moment for me. So I was involved with this person, and many of my friends know who this person is. Some people don't need to put his name or his business out there, but he knows who he is, and I know who he is, and my good friends know who he is. Well, I was involved with this person on and off for 10 years, starting from college all the way up through graduate school. And I made a clear decision to stop messing with him after I turned 30. And the decision came in a very interesting way. So he happened to reach out to me when we lived in different states at the time. He lived in New York, I lived in Boston, and I was in DC. I was taking a train from DC back to Boston, but of course, the train stops in New York, if you've ever taken the Amtrak. It actually spends like a good hour in the station before it moves on, especially the night train, which is one I was taking. And before I got on the train, when I was still waiting to get on the train, he hits me up. And it's like, hey, what you doing? I was like, that is random. And so I engaged in this conversation. I was like, I'm actually in DC on my way back home. I'm waiting for the train right now. And he's like, oh, does that train stop in New York? And I said, yes, it does. And he said, you should get off. I said, why would I get off the train? I paid for a ticket to go from DC to Boston, where I live. And he said, so you can hang out with me. And I was like, are you serious? And he's like, I'm serious. And I knew he was serious. So the train ride takes about like 6 hours, because the distance between DC and Boston is about 8 hours if you're driving. It's about 6 hours on the train, 6.5 hours, maybe 7 hours. And so the entire ride between DC and New York, he's calling me. I'm picking up sometimes. He's texting me. If I don't answer back, he's calling. And so like I'm forced to answer because he's calling consistently. Like, why are you playing? Just pick up the phone. You should get off the train. Now, here's how my body kicked in to help me with my decision, because I knew I am done. I first got involved with him when I was 18 years old and was in a full-on situationship through my 20s. And it did not serve me. There was many tearful nights. There's a whole like series of albums just dedicated to him. in my playlist because those were the things I was listening to when I was involved with him. It was not a great experience for me. And so I turned 30 and I was like, I can't do this shit no more. This is not going in the right direction. This is not something that you want to continue because you're not getting anything out of it. He's getting everything and you're getting nothing. So I have that in my mind, but being involved with him and having feelings involved and him knowing me and knowing my triggers, he was playing on that. And, you know, I possibly would have gotten off the train if my body decided to act for me. And this is how it did. And TMI here, I had the heaviest period menstruation start when I was on the train. And I'm on the train at night, so it didn't start all day long, but it was when I was on the train and he was trying to convince me to get off. All of a sudden, I'm like, what is this? I look down and I had an actual spot on my pants. I was bleeding so heavily that it bled through my pants. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had to like take my jacket, cover myself, take out one of my pants from my thing and go change in the bathroom. It was so bad. And I didn't even expect it to hit because I would have been prepared, but I didn't. And that was right there, my gut, my body telling me, girl, stay on that train. Because now we are making it impossible for you to get off this train because we're just gonna bleed through your clothes, girl. And so I always remember that as a distinct moment when I made the right decision not to deal with him anymore. After I made that decision, I found out that he at the time had a girlfriend and he got another girl pregnant, like right around that time period. He was about to have a baby with somebody else that was not his girlfriend. And I found that out a year later. And I was like, wow, look at God and look at my body. I'm thinking about it now. Look at my intuition. Intuition was kicking in there. My intuition, my gut kept me from making a bad decision because I might have ended up being baby mama number 2. And that's the end of that TMI story. So, number 7, beware of the thoughts that will tell you to leave your body out of the decision-making process and listen only to your busy brain. Practice telling the voice in your head to step aside because you want to get your body's guidance too. Again, yes, it's good to, think things out and to be rational, but you also need to listen to your body. Don't always think that you can only go with what your head is telling you because sometimes your head will tell you something and your body will decide to do something completely different. And we have to keep our body in mind. Number 8, take steps into unknown territory every chance you get. When you do the same things over and over again, you go on autopilot without meaning to. Your spidey sense dulls. Don't let that happen. Throw yourself into new situations, meet new people, and try new dishes. Shake it up whenever you can. Don't get into a rut. Number 9. When you have free time, don't rush to the to-do list that can otherwise rule your every waking hour. Sit quietly, meditate, ask your body, what should I do now? The answer might be something you need, but you never give yourself, like a massage or a long walk or a call to your best friend far away, especially right now. Listen to your body. I know for some people, if you're working from home, you have a list of things that you need to do. For those who are working from home and have children, there's also an additional list of things that you need to do. But I can tell you right now that when you actually get your free time, listen to your body. You don't need to do anything that your body does not want to do. Listen to your body. If your body says, you know what, I'm in the mood to dance, go ahead and dance. I'm in the mood to take a long walk, go ahead and do that. Find different ways to satisfy what your body is telling you that you need instead of the to-do list. Number 10, stop and attend when your body signals you. Let no eerie feeling or twinge go unaddressed. If you are by yourself, name the feeling or twinge aloud. Uh-oh, I was just thinking about that thing I keep putting off, and my gut twinged. I need to pay attention to that. Pause and reflect on the message your intuition sent you. You will never go wrong listening to your body. Let me repeat that. You will never go wrong listening to your body because your body knows what's best for you. And so I just want to end by saying this. Right now, it can feel like there's a lot of information coming in about the pandemic and how we as people, as Americans, as global citizens, move forward. It can feel confusing, like we're living in a world where anything goes. Some of the research data, the medical reports, and the new protocols we hear about daily may not seem to have a higher purpose. It may feel hard to tell which solutions are truly helpful and which are merely opportunistic, given the current emphasis on, if you're in America, reopening the country and boosting the economy rather than saving human lives. This is why I encourage you to try the tips mentioned in this episode to figure out how to trust your intuition and listen to your gut. Before the pandemic, many of us often ran from one place to another with an endless to-do list. But it is only when we stop running can our mind catch up. Try to see this period as a good time to release your attachment to old ways and routines of thinking and doing things. Take this chance to reflect, let go, and create space for something new to emerge. Because we may not know how everything will turn out or what our lives will be like after the pandemic ends, but by trusting your intuition and listening to your gut, I believe you will at least be clear on why you made the choices you made and be able to use the outcome of your choices to help you to make the best move for you. And with that, I am done with this section. Now let's move on to figure this out. This is a short one and I'm not going to go all the way off. So here's my issue. Can you figure this out for me? Why is it that, and this is very much an American thing because it is solely about white Americans, not all white Americans, but particularly the white Americans that have decided to protest, quote unquote, protest the stay-at-home orders that are been put in place across this country by the governors of their state to keep them safe and to keep the rest of us safe. Why is it that these folks will be the same people that try to tell you that you need to stop talking about Black Lives Matter, that Colin Kaepernick needed to stop kneeling at games, that it was un-American to even bring up any kind of discussion about systematic racism, police brutality, racial inequalities, that all of these people had a problem. Don't talk about that. You're being lazy. You just don't want to do this. You just complaining. Slavery was a long time ago. You're not slaves now. Lincoln freed the slaves, blah, 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 blah. But these same people will turn around and have signs that say stay-at-home orders is like slavery. Where the hell did they get that from? Like, really? Where the hell did they get that from? I thought y'all said that slavery didn't matter anymore, or it wasn't that bad, or people need to stop talking about slavery. But now, when we're asking you to stay at home, if you can, so that we can stop the spread of a virus that we don't fully understand yet, that we do not have a vaccine for or a cure, that you seem to think that it is not just your God-given right, but your constitutional right to say no, because this is oppression and slavery. What the hell? That is not what that is. Okay? Not even close. If they really actually used the time that they had, before they start writing their signs and looked up slavery, I can tell you right now what the definition of slavery is. So I did the Googles. This is what it told me. Slavery is a noun. It is the state of being a slave. Synonyms are bondage, enslavement, servitude, subjugation, serfdom, bonds, shackles, fetters. Slavery is also the practice or system of owning slaves. It is the condition compared to that of a slave in respect of exhausting labor or restricted freedom. Now, maybe they're using this one because restricted freedom, and they think it's their constitutional right to be able to be free to kill themselves or to kill others without any repercussions. And the last one is excessive dependence or devotion to something. Now, I think this one is what makes more sense. It sounds like they're really just slaves to tradition, to white supremacy, to their own ignorance, to outdated American ideals, all of these things. I think that's particularly what it is. But if you know how a stay-at-home order is equivalent to slavery, you let me know. Actually, let them know, because I fully understand what slavery is, what oppression is, and this is not it. This is not slavery. This is just a change in the schedule. Like, I wonder if when they have natural disasters, if they consider not being able to do those things that they want to do slavery. I bet they don't. I bet they didn't say that damn hurricane made me have to not go to work. It's like slavery. Oh man, that damn earthquake. It caused me not to be able to get my hair cut. That's slavery. I'm sure they don't use those words, but it's so convenient for them to use it when it has something to do with them and not with anyone else. And with that, I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, if you have not done so already, please rate and review this podcast on whatever platform that you are listening to this. I would really appreciate it. Share this episode with at least one friend. 2 would be great. 3 would be awesome, because that's my favorite number. And if you'd like to get any life advice from me or like to be featured on the show, please contact me at figureoutyourlifeblog@gmail.com. And we will try to get that together. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you're listening to this, wherever you are. I hope you guys stay safe. You wash your hands, you trust your intuition, and you listen to your gut. And with that, I'll talk to you guys next week. All right, bye.